18 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Robin, a couple of autumns ago, you and I wanted to see foliage, remember?
Yes, we did.
And so we drove until we found foliage, and we found it in a place in northwest Georgia called Red Mountain.
Red
Top Mountain.
Yes.
Oh, did I have it wrong? Red. Okay. Well, I looked up the wrong thing then. I was wondering how far Red Mountain was from Bull Mountain.
Oh,
because
well,
that's the title of the book. That's the title of the book. No, I think you're right. It's Red Top.
Okay.
Brian Panowich is on the phone. He has written this book called Bull Mountain. It's a novel that chronicles the succeeding generations of a Southern crime family. Brian worked as a touring musician. We got that in common. We've done that. I've done that. You've done that. He spent time in Rome and in East Berlin. Never did that. Never did either one of those things. Although I know a lady who lived in the east side of Germany before the wall came down.
Yes.
He now works as a full-time firefighter and obviously is a very talented author as well. Brian Panowich. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Larry. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Good. Where are you right now?
I am sitting in my mother's house, and I guess the closest place to the map in Georgia would be in Augusta.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I know Augusta. I used to live there. I like it.
Yeah, we're known for the golf course.
Yes.
So Red Top Mountains. How close is Red Top Mountain to Bull Mountain? Let me look.
Okay.
Oh, it's an hour and 55 minutes away, it says here.
Oh, cool.
72.2 miles. Okay.
Nice. I want to say it's north of Dahlonega where Bull Mountain is.
No, it's southwest.
Right there?
Southwest. Red Top is southwest of Bull.
Gotcha.
But Bull is in the...
close to where I'm at now.
Okay.
Let me demystify it a little bit for you. Bull Mountain, the ominous criminal empire that I wrote about, is named after a place in Georgia called Bull Mountain, and it's in Dahlonega. Dahlonega is mainly known for their vineyards and their sprawling grape orchards or whatever they are, and grapevines. And Bull Mountain is actually a mountain biking trail.
Oh, my.
And I mountain bike, and that's what I named my ominous mountain after, because I've always tried to get out there and ride that trail, but my wife always ends up drinking too much wine at the wine tasting, and I can never get out there and ride my bike because I'm either drunk or feeling bad the next day.
Oh, no.
So it's kind of a joke, like we're never going to get to Bull Mountain. And so when I sat down to write this book and I needed a title of my fictional mountain based on Rayburn County and Clayton County, I picked Bull Mountain just because it's ever elusive.
So let's talk a little bit about you, and then we'll be fair to the book itself. But
Sure.
You're a touring musician. When were you touring, and how? In what aspect were you? How were you touring? Were you with a band? Were you just and your guitar?
I fronted a band. I sang, played guitar for a band called King Thursday. We were out on the road from I want to say like '95 until my daughter was born in 2004. And I hung on for about a year after that, but I was missing too much of my little girl growing. So, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I just told the guys I was done and packed it up, came home.
Wow. So
be a dad.
Just to swap notes, sort of similar. I used to play colleges just as a guy with a guitar. I go to colleges all up and down the East Coast. And same thing happened for me. I was looking across the microphone saying, everybody's going home but me. I've got a wife at home. I'm going home. If they can all have a job at home, I'm going to have a job at home. So
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I said. The only problem with that was, though, and maybe you can relate to this, is, when you do it for so long, it's kind of like who you are now. So when you try to, it's hard to give up, And it's hard to give up that spotlight and that thing that comes along with being a musician.
And I used to say, I'm doing everything a famous person does, but I'm not famous.
Right. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So now you're a firefighter?
That's right. Like I said, when I came home and I didn't have a skill set. I'd been doing this for so long that I needed to find something else to do. I reconnected with a friend of mine that I used to play music with before I took it out professionally, and he was a fireman. And I was like, well, how's that? And he's like, man, it's awesome. You work for 24 hours, you're off 48 hours. And it's like every you get off on Friday.
That sounds good to you.
That sounds great.
So let me see if I can connect the things we know about you so far to the book. As a musician, were you also a songwriter? And I'm asking that to try to figure out how you go from a songwriter to being a writer of books.
That's all we did. That was basically what we were trying to do, was to push our music and to get our music. It never happened, and our music adapted over time too. Like, we started off as punk rock, but toward the end of it, it was more of a country, outlaw country thing. So we always just adapted to the times. But I wrote my own songs, me and the guys in the band, and when I stopped doing that and I became a fireman, I was going crazy because I didn't have a creative outlet. I loved being a fireman, I still do. I'll always do it. But that being said, I needed something. And so I started writing short stories. And there is a small shift in pitch from writing a song to writing a short story, in my opinion, even to writing a novel. A lot of people, I don't think that aren't musicians would be able to relate to that, but it's just like writing music to me.
So, but there are songwriters who write stories in their songs, and then there are those who don't necessarily.
Right.
Were you the type that wrote stories?
Yes, absolutely. I was the guy that liked to tell stories. My daddy raised me on Waylon Jennings and that kind of thing, so I listened on Jerry Reed.
And you became a punk rocker with Waylon Jennings as a background?
Well, think about it now.
B-52s?
There's not too much difference there, man, because that was the punk rock of my dad's day, and so your dad's normally right, and I had to gravitate into that method of thinking. But I took what he listened to as a kid and rebelled against it by using it, and it turned out I was using exactly what he was feeding me.
Isn't that interesting?
I wrote story songs, and then my story songs became short stories, and those short stories actually became this novel, the first novel I ever sat down to write, and it was like writing an album.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This is your first?
Wonderful
wow,
book.
This is your first. Well, that's pretty good. And do the other firefighters read the books?
Oh, yeah, man. In fact, they're my biggest fans outside of my family, obviously. Those guys allowed me to write this book. If it wasn't for them, there'd be no book. I have 4 children, and they're all small, and I have a southern strong-minded woman, and I basically live in a shoe.
But she likes wine. I heard that she likes wine.
So put all that together, and there's nothing getting done at the house. And so I told the guys when an agent reached out to me about one of my short stories about turning it into a novel, I said, "Hey guys, I got this opportunity," and I laid it out for them, and they cleared out a closet upstairs at the firehouse. And so every third day, if there wasn't something in the county burning, after 4 o'clock, I was writing the book.
All right, so
I thank them for it, man. They're responsible for me having the time to do it.
I love talking to you.
You're a humorist.
You're just a great guy a great interview. All right, so let's be fair to the book. Tell the listeners the storyline, like a movie trailer version, if you could.
Gotcha. Clayton Burrows is the latest and youngest son of a generation of outlaws who have been living on this mountain and running moonshine that would transitioned into marijuana, into meth, which is now their business. They've been running this criminal empire forever, and Clayton decides that he cannot do it. He knows from a child that he is not able to follow in his footsteps of his brother and his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather. He's born soft. He has a conscience, and so he's a letdown to his family. And in the South, when family is paramount, and you have to struggle with the fact that your family doesn't respect you, then that's a heavy, haunting, situation. And so he decides that if he's going to be good at something, he's going to be good at something that's going to piss his daddy off, and he takes up with the sheriff department, and things go south from there really quickly.
The interesting thing is the book starts with the word family. That's how you started the book.
Very keen eye, Larry.
Yeah.
That was exactly the point, man.
Yeah.
I wanted you to know from the very first word of the book what you were getting into.
Yeah. So were your songs the same theme or similar theme?
Not necessarily. I was all over the place, just like my taste in literature, my taste in music. It's so varied. When I wrote this book, I never really intentionally set out for it to be a Southern noir is what they're calling it, or hillbilly noir. I mean, there's a whole bunch of labels that are out there, and I'm being compared to these guys.
Well, that's because you call Daddy Deddy. You call him Deddy.
Well, that's how we talk.
That's right. I love the dialogue.
All I have to do is hang out with my wife and her family and her in-laws, who are all from up
Daddy.
in the mountain, and man, yeah,
that's right.
Record it and write it down.
That's funny stuff. Well, I see. I'm not a psychic, but I see a future for you. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
What was the experience like getting it published? Did you have a hard time, or was it a right away kind of a thing?
Are you ready for this, Larry? This came to me. All of this fell in my lap. I was writing short stories, and that was all I had ever intended to do. It was bragging rights. I had met some people online, that did it, and I was part of a small little community of writers that just wrote their stories and compared and blah, blah, blah. And an agent in New York read a story that I wrote online and called me and said, hey, my name is Nat Sobel. Do you have anything longer? I'd be interested in looking. I told him I did not. He said, well, when you do, give me a call, and when you hang up the phone, Google my name. And I did that, and he was James Elroy's agent, and I had to go out of the garage and sit down and breathe.
Man.
James Elroy's agent just validated the fact that I had a little bit of talent, and if that ain't motivation to get something done, man, I don't know what is.
That is cool stuff. That's what you were wanting when you were doing music.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. I spent almost 15 years humping it, trying to make that happen for myself. And as soon as I stopped and became a dad, and stopped looking for it, it found me. And that's exactly what happened. So I took a year. And I wrote this book, like I said, at the fire station every third day.
Wow.
And I sent him the book a year later without talking to him in that entire year. I didn't even know if he was going to call me, if he'd know who I was. And he called me back immediately, almost like 3 days later. Said, I love your book. I want to take you on as a client. I want to sell this book. And he sold it within 3 months to, Putnam Random House. I mean, one of the biggest, most prestigious houses in the world.
That is awesome. What a great thing. Another great thing out of Georgia, by the way. Brian Panowich has sent us a copy of his book called Bull Mountain. I have that copy. It's a hardcover copy. You can have the one that was sent to me. If you call me at 622-9622, the rest of us have to go buy it. Brian, do you have a website?
I do. It's BrianPanowich.com. Panowich is Panowich, and it's Brian with an I.
All right. And for the listeners, just go to our website. Robin already put Brian's website on there. And I'm guessing you can get it on all the Amazon.
It's available everywhere. I would like to say if you have a local bookstore around, buy it from them first. If you can't do it from an independent bookstore, then move on from there. But it's available everywhere.
Excellent point. Brian, thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Larry.
All right, we'll be right back.
After stopping him for driving without a front license.
The defendant is facing the possibility of life in prison. It's the court's duty to ensure his appearance. The bond will be $1